The battlefield was already burning when Eli realized he was going to die. Smoke clawed at his lungs. Alien metal screamed as blades collided. The sky above the shattered city pulsed a sick violet torn open by orbital fire. Eli's hands shook around a rifle that had stopped firing 3 minutes ago. The heat had warped the barrel. The enemy was still coming. And she was right in front of him. The alien woman stood taller than any human soldier he had ever seen. Her armor was carved, not forged, grown into sharp lines that glowed faint blue at the edges. 4 burning eyes stared down at him from a face made for war, not mercy. Her sword, long, curved, and humming with lethal energy, rested lightly in her hand as if it weighed nothing. This was Kara of the Vaish. Her name alone had broken cities. Eli knew the stories. Everyone did. The Vaish did not retreat, they did not hesitate, and they never spared a human. He tried to step back. His boots slipped on ash and blood. So this is it, he thought. Not a hero's death, just another name erased. Kara raised her sword. Eli's mind raced, not with strategy, but with strange, useless memories. His mother brushing dust off his jacket. A quiet joke shared with a friend who was now dead somewhere behind him. The way silence felt before a storm. And then, without planning to, he spoke. "You're gorgeous." The word slipped out softly, almost gently, not shouted, not defiant, not sarcastic. Just honest. For a fraction of a second, nothing happened. Then the impossible did. Kara froze. The humming blade faltered, her grip loosened. The sword fell. It struck the broken stone between them with a sharp, ringing sound that cut through the chaos of battle like a bell. Eli stared. So did everyone else. Around them, soldiers, human and Vaish alike, hesitated, shocked by the sudden stillness between 2 enemies who should already be dead. Laser fire slowed. Orders went unfinished. Even the sky seemed to hold its breath. Kara looked down at her empty hand. Then she looked at Eli. Her eyes were no longer burning. They were confused. "What did you say?" she asked. Her voice was not the thunder he expected. It was low, controlled, almost uncertain. Eli swallowed. His heart hammered so hard he thought it might break his ribs. I said you're gorgeous," he repeated. "I didn't mean it as an insult." That made it worse. Kara stepped back. Not toward him, away. Her breath hitched, sharp and unfamiliar. One armored hand pressed against her chest, right over where a Vaish heart would be. The glow along her armor flickered, dimming like a dying flame. "No human has ever said that to me," she said slowly. Behind her, a Vaish commander shouted something in their harsh language. Eli didn't understand the words, but he understood the tone. Confusion, anger, alarm. Kara ignored them. "You know what I am," she said. "You know what I have done." Eli nodded. "I do." "Then why speak beauty?" she demanded, "at the edge of your death." Eli laughed once, short and breathless. "Because I figured if I'm going to die, I don't want my last words to be about fear." Her eyes narrowed. "You fear nothing." "Oh, I fear plenty," he said. "I just don't want it to win." Another explosion rocked the city. A tower collapsed in the distance. The war pressed in, reminding them both that this moment was not allowed to exist. Kara knelt. The act was so sudden that Eli nearly dropped his useless rifle. She picked up her sword with shaking fingers, but she did not raise it. Instead, she rested the blade flat against the ground and bowed her head. "I was bred for war," she said. "Trained to kill before I could choose my own name. To my people, beauty is weakness, desire is a flaw." She looked up at him again. "But when you spoke, something broke." Eli felt his throat tighten. Around them, Vaish soldiers began to circle, weapons rising. Human troops watched from cover, unsure whether to fire or flee. The moment was ending. Kara stood taller than before, but changed. Her sword remained lowered. "If my commander orders your death," she said quietly, "I am expected to obey." Eli met her gaze. "And will you?" Her jaw clenched. "I do not know," she admitted. A Vaish officer shouted her name. Kara turned toward the sound. Then, without looking back, she said, "Run, human." Eli hesitated. That hesitation might cost them both everything. And somewhere deep within the Vaish ranks, a decision was being made, one that would turn a single, gentle word into the beginning of a war far more dangerous than any battle. Eli did not run. He told himself later that it was shock, or courage, or stupidity. The truth was simpler and far more dangerous. He stayed because Kara had told him to. The Vaish officer's voice cut through the air again, sharp and commanding. Kara straightened instantly, armor flaring brighter as discipline snapped back into place like a blade sliding into its sheath. To anyone watching, she looked whole again, unbroken, deadly. Only Eli saw the tremor in her hands. She turned to face her commander, a massive Vaish male with scarred plating and ritual burns carved into his crest. His eyes glowed a hard red as they flicked from Kara to Eli. "This human lives," the commander said. It was not a question. Kara inclined her head. "Yes." "Explain." She paused. That pause stretched too long. Eli felt it like a held breath before a scream. "He disarmed me," she said. The commander's eyes narrowed. "With words." A murmur rippled through the surrounding Vaish ranks. Words were not weapons to them. Words were tools of obedience. Commands, lies, never this. "Yes," Kara replied. The commander laughed once, harsh and incredulous. "Then finish this farce." He gestured toward Eli. "Kill him." Time slowed. Eli's mind screamed at his legs to move, but they refused. His heart pounded so loud it drowned out the distant gunfire. He watched Kara turn back toward him, her expression unreadable behind the alien lines of her face. Her sword lifted. Not high, not ready to strike. Just enough. Eli met her gaze. He did not beg. He did not speak. He simply stood there, ash-streaked and terrified, trusting a woman who had been taught since birth that mercy was treason. Kara's grip tightened, then loosened. She let the sword fall again. This time the sound was not ringing, it was final. Gasps erupted from both sides. The Vaish commander roared, stepping forward, but Kara moved faster. She placed herself between Eli and her own people. "I will not," she said. The battlefield froze a second time. The commander stared at her as if she had grown a second head. "You will," he snarled, "or you will be declared broken." That word carried weight. It meant exile, torture, public death. Kara did not flinch. "If that is the cost," she said, "then name me broken." Eli felt something crack inside his chest. Awe, terror, gratitude so sharp it hurt. The commander raised his weapon. Before he could fire, the ground shook. A human artillery strike slammed into the plaza's edge, throwing debris into the air. Smoke swallowed the Vaish formation. Orders turned into chaos. Soldiers scattered, instincts overriding protocol. Kara grabbed Eli. Her hand closed around his arm with crushing strength, and suddenly they were running, not away from each other, but together, ducking through falling stone and fire. "You were told to run," she snapped over the noise. "I know," Eli gasped. "I'm bad at following orders." That almost made her smile. They dove into a shattered corridor beneath a collapsed building. Darkness swallowed them, broken only by flickering emergency lights and distant explosions. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Kara released him and stepped back as if burned. Her breathing was uneven. "What you did," she said, "was unforgivable." Eli blinked, "Calling you gorgeous." "Yes." He frowned, "I'm sorry." "You altered my focus mid-combat," she continued, voice tight. "You forced self-awareness. You disrupted conditioning that took decades to carve into my mind." She looked at him, eyes bright with something dangerously close to panic. "You made me see myself." Eli swallowed. "Is that bad?" "For my people," she laughed bitterly, It is fatal. Silence pressed in. Finally, he said quietly, "For what it's worth, I meant it." Kara closed her eyes. "No one has ever looked at me without fear," she said, "or hunger for victory or hatred." She opened them again. "You looked at me like I was someone." Footsteps echoed above them, Vaish voices searching. Kara's hand went to her sword again, but she did not draw it. "If they find us," she said, "they will kill you first." Eli nodded. "And you. They will make an example of me." He took a breath. "Then we shouldn't let them find us." She studied him for a long moment. "You are either very brave," she said, "or very foolish." "Probably both." A corner of her mouth lifted despite herself. Somewhere above, the commander barked orders. The hunt had begun. And in the dark beneath the battlefield, a human and an alien warrior stood side by side, both knowing that whatever happened next, there was no returning to who they had been before. The corridors beneath the shattered city were a tomb of smoke and twisted steel. Each step Eli took sent sparks dancing across the scorched floors. The human survivors of the bombardment had long vanished, leaving only echoes and shadows. Yet Kara moved like a shadow herself, silent and precise, scanning every corner, every jagged opening. Eli stumbled once, catching himself on a jagged beam. "I'm not built for stealth," he admitted, voice low. Kara glanced at him, her eyes glowing faint blue in the dim light. "Nor am I," she said almost reluctantly. "I am trained for war, not hiding, not running." "And yet here we are," Eli muttered. She did not answer, only turned a corner sharply. Smoke swirled around them, painting the walls with dancing shapes, and somewhere above, the Vaish commander's voice barked commands that echoed through the ruins. The sound was distorted, inhuman, reminding Eli of why he was still alive. Kara had chosen him over obedience. "What happens if they catch us?" he asked after a moment. Her steps faltered just slightly. It was subtle, but he saw it. "Then you die," she said flatly, "and I survive, or perhaps I die as well. Your survival is an anomaly I cannot guarantee." Eli laughed softly, shaky. "So basically, thanks for saving me by almost dooming yourself." Kara did not laugh. She never laughed, but her lips curved faintly, just enough for Eli to notice. They came to a massive chamber filled with debris. The ceiling had collapsed, leaving beams jutting out like skeletal fingers. Eli paused, taking it all in. This looks like the end of the line." "Or the beginning," Kara said. Her voice held an odd resonance. "There are old tunnels beneath the city, ancient, forgotten even by my people. If we can find them, we might escape the hunt." Eli's brow furrowed. "You mean crawl through rat tunnels under a war zone?" She gave him a look sharp enough to cut steel. "If you prefer being shot above ground, you are free to run ahead." He swallowed, feeling both fear and adrenaline. "Lead the way," he said. As they navigated the labyrinthine tunnels, Eli noticed things he should not have. The way Kara's eyes softened when she thought no one was watching, the subtle hesitation before she turned a corner, the way her fingers lingered on the hilt of her sword yet never drew it. It was as if she were learning a new rhythm, one that included him. At one narrow turn, Eli tripped again, this time catching a ledge with his hand. Pain shot through his wrist. He cursed under his breath. Kara's hand shot out, gripping his arm with surprising gentleness. "Careful," she said. Her voice was lower now, almost intimate. "Do not fall yet, not like this." I'm fine," Eli protested, though the pain made his words ragged. "You are not fine," she said sharply, her tone slicing through the smoke like a knife. "Do you understand? You are alive because I chose not to obey. You are a single heartbeat ahead of your death. Treat it with respect." Eli met her gaze. It was impossible to look away. Despite the alien features, the four burning eyes, and the lethal armor, there was a humanity there, fragile, unspoken, and raw. I think I'm starting to understand," he whispered. Kara did not respond immediately. Instead, she stepped closer, so close that Eli could see the faint blue glow dancing over her skin beneath the armor. "Understand what?" she finally asked, voice softer, almost wary. "That words can be weapons too," he said. And maybe they can be shields as well. Her lips twitched. She seemed to consider the statement, and for a moment the war around them faded. The screams, the fire, the orders, it all seemed distant. Then a rumble shook the tunnel. Dust fell like rain. The Vaish commander's shouts grew louder. Eli's heart jumped. "They are close," Kara said, eyes narrowing. She drew her sword, but this time it was not an instinctive act of attack. It was a warning, a promise, a signal. "Ready?" she asked. Eli swallowed hard. "I guess I have to be," he said, gripping the ruined wall for support. She glanced at him. Her eyes flickered, betraying something that almost looked like hope. "Do not look at me like that," she said. "You will only confuse yourself further." "I already am," he admitted. She exhaled sharply, almost silently, and then her expression hardened. "Then we move," she said. "And when they find us, we will show them that words and steel together can be stronger than either alone." Together, side by side, human and alien, they stepped into the deeper shadows of the labyrinth. Every echo of their footfalls was a heartbeat in the war that was far from over. And somewhere behind them, in the broken city above, the Vaish commander realized that the human he had ordered killed was no longer alone, and that the alien warrior who should have obeyed him had already rewritten the rules. The hunt was only beginning. The tunnels twisted like a serpent beneath the ruined city, narrow and suffocating. Dust clung to Eli's skin and lungs, mixing with sweat and the metallic tang of blood from above. Every step he took reminded him of the chaos they had left behind, and the impossible truth that he was still alive. Kara led silently, her sword now hanging at her side, humming faintly, more as a signal than a weapon. Eli tried to match her pace, but his lungs burned and every nerve screamed. How do you even see down here?" he panted. Her eyes glowed faintly blue, cutting through the darkness like twin lanterns. "Your senses narrow in the dark," she said. "Mine are adapted." She glanced at him over her shoulder. "And you would die quickly if you relied on instinct alone." "I've been relying on luck so far," Eli muttered, and she let out a short, almost imperceptible laugh. They reached a wide cavern, the tunnel opening into a vaulted space littered with rubble. Stalactites hung like jagged teeth above, dripping water that hissed as it met the molten metal still cooling beneath the city. Eli's eyes adjusted slowly. It was here they paused. Kara knelt, placing her hand on the cracked stone floor. Her four eyes, usually sharp with wariness, softened as she studied the pattern of debris. "We can move through here without being detected," she murmured. Then, almost under her breath, "But trust will have to grow faster than fear." Eli frowned. "Trust with you." "Yes," she said simply. "I chose not to obey orders for you. That is a start." He swallowed hard. "So, you're saying you're risking your life for me?" Her lips twitched. "Do not make this about heroics. It is complicated. I am not trained for feelings. I am trained to kill, and yet your word froze me." Eli blinked. "Gorgeous." Kara's eyes flared with the faintest trace of color, as if the word had ignited something deep inside. "Yes," she admitted, "and it will haunt me for as long as I live." The moment was intimate and terrifying all at once. Eli felt heat rush to his cheeks. "I didn't think a word could do that." She stood suddenly, the hum of her sword rising like a warning. "They are close," she said, voice tight. "I hear them." Eli followed her lead, heart hammering. Shadows moved along the tunnel edges, shapes unfamiliar and deadly. The Vaish commander himself was hunting them, relentless and clever. Eli had no idea how he would survive if they were caught. Kara motioned for him to follow. She guided him through a series of hidden crevices, ducking under fallen beams, stepping over molten metal pools. Eli realized she was not just leading. They were being hunted, but she had mapped every danger instinctively. A sudden shriek echoed from above. Dust and small rocks fell. Eli instinctively pushed Kara down behind a jagged wall. Her arm brushed his, electricity sparking at the contact. She didn't recoil. "You are reckless," she whispered, but her tone lacked anger. "You will get us killed." "And yet I'm still here," Eli said, voice shaky but defiant. "Because of you." Her gaze met his, piercing, alien, and utterly unreadable. Because of choices, not feelings, not heroics, choices. He nodded, though his pulse betrayed the truth. He was already entangled in something far beyond logic. They moved deeper, finding an alcove where faint light from bioluminescent fungi painted the walls in ghostly blues and greens. Eli sank against the stone, trying to catch his breath. Kara stood at the edge, sword ready, eyes scanning. "I never imagined I would protect a human," she said quietly, almost to herself. "And yet—" Eli's heart twisted, "and yet—" She did not answer. Her gaze drifted past him toward the shadows. But he saw it there, the momentary softness behind her alien mask. Vulnerability, trust, something he had never expected to witness in the deadliest warrior in the galaxy. A sudden sound, a low rumble, faint but deliberate, made them freeze. Eli's stomach dropped, footsteps, calculated, coming from the other side of the cavern. "They know we're here," Kara said. Her voice had steel again, but there was tension beneath it. Eli's hand found his rifle. "Do we fight?" Kara's eyes flicked to him, unreadable. "We survive," she said, "whatever it takes." Eli nodded. He didn't know if he was ready, but he trusted her. Somehow, against all logic, he trusted her. The first shadow stepped into the dim light. A Vaish warrior, eyes glowing red, blade drawn. Behind him, more followed. The hunt had found them. Kara raised her sword, its hum deep and threatening. Eli felt the heat of the alien weapon, and then the inexplicable warmth of her presence beside him. "I will not let them take you," she said softly. Eli felt his chest tighten. I won't let you die either," he whispered. The cavern fell silent. The tension was unbearable, every second stretched into an eternity. And then, with a sharp cry, the first Vaish leaped forward, igniting the battle that would test not only their survival, but the fragile, unspoken bond forming between human and alien warrior. The cavern erupted into chaos. Vaish warriors surged forward, blades humming and glowing red, casting flickering shadows across the jagged walls. Eli's heart pounded in his chest like a drumbeat of war, but he followed Kara instinctively, matching her movements as best he could. She moved like a force of nature, swift, precise, terrifying. Every swing of her sword carved arcs of blue light, cutting through Vaish armor as if it were paper. Eli ducked and fired his rifle, bullets ricocheting off stone, narrowly missing enemies. He had no idea how long he could last, but somehow, side by side with Kara, he felt unstoppable. "You're reckless," she snapped, deflecting a strike aimed at his head. "Move, human." "I'm not used to four-eyed super warriors saving my life," he yelled back, adrenaline sharpening his words. Her eyes glinted with something almost like amusement. "Focus or die." Eli barely had time to react as a warrior lunged from the side. Kara's sword cut cleanly through the attacker, and Eli stumbled over the body, barely avoiding another strike. The close quarters forced them into coordination they had never practiced. Every glance, every movement had to communicate intent. And then it happened, the commander arrived. Towering above the other Vaish, his crimson eyes locked onto Kara, burning with fury. "Kara," he shouted, voice like grinding metal, "you betray your people." "I choose," she shouted back, raising her sword. "I choose survival, and I choose him." Her gaze flicked toward Eli, who froze in shock. The commander's roar shook the cavern. He moved like a predator, faster and stronger than any soldier, his blade slicing the air with lethal precision. Kara met him head-on, sparks flying, armor clashing against armor. Eli realized in a terrifying moment of clarity that if she fell, he would die immediately. "Eli," Kara barked, spinning away from a strike that would have impaled him. "Get behind me." He dove behind a pile of rubble, heart racing, watching her fight with a fluidity he had never imagined. And then he noticed something, a weakness. The commander's armor, though powerful, had exposed joints at the shoulders and knees. Eli swallowed his fear. "Kara, his side," he shouted, pointing toward the opening. She glanced briefly, just enough. "Cover me," she said. With no hesitation, Eli fired, bullets sparking against the metal near the exposed joint. The commander staggered, giving Kara an opening. With a powerful leap, she struck, her blade piercing through the weak point. The commander roared in fury and pain but did not fall. "You dare," he bellowed, staggering back. "You would destroy your own." Kara advanced, eyes blazing. "I am not your tool," she said. "I am my own will." Eli, heart hammering, found himself moving forward. He grabbed a fallen pipe and swung blindly, connecting with the commander's leg. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep him off balance. Together, human and alien, they pressed the attack. It was chaotic, dangerous, and terrifying. Yet in the midst of it, Eli realized something extraordinary. He and Kara were connected, not just as allies, but in a way deeper than words. Every glance, every instinctive movement spoke of trust and something else he could not yet name. The commander roared again, fury turning to calculation. He backed away, circling them. "You will regret this, Kara." Her blade hummed low and dangerous. "No," she said, voice cold and final. "You will regret underestimating us." For a heartbeat, the battlefield fell silent. The Vaish commander froze, realizing that his disciplined warriors were faltering, uncertain. Eli understood. They had seen the alien warrior defy orders, protect a human, and that defiance had shattered their certainty. The commander made one last move, lunging with speed that could kill, but Kara was faster. She sidestepped, delivering a strike that sent him crashing against the cavern wall. He snarled, glaring at her, and then, astonishingly, he spoke. "You have chosen him over all else." Kara stood tall, chest heaving. "Yes, over you, over the hunt, over fear." Eli's chest tightened as he watched her, every scar and line of her armor glowing faintly in the tunnel's eerie light. She had defied everything to protect him. The commander's eyes narrowed and he retreated, signaling his remaining warriors to fall back. They obeyed, hesitation clear in their movements. For now, the immediate threat was over. Eli exhaled shakily. I don't even know what to say," he admitted. Kara glanced at him, eyes softening, the glow in her armor dimming just slightly. "Do not speak," she said quietly. "We survived, that is enough for now." He nodded, heart racing. "I owe you everything." Her gaze lingered on him. "Do not speak of owing," she said. "You reminded me that words can matter, that choice can matter, that perhaps there is more than war." For the first time, the two of them allowed themselves a moment of silence, the chaos around them fading into the distance. In that fragile space, Eli realized something extraordinary. He did not just admire her courage. He felt it in every breath, every heartbeat, every pulse of energy around them. And Kara, perhaps in some alien way, felt the same. The cavern, once a tomb, now felt like the first place of possibility. But outside, the war was far from over. The Vaish commander would return, and next time he would not come alone. The tunnels eventually gave way to the surface, but the city above was unrecognizable. Smoke twisted into black pillars, streets were rivers of molten metal, and the distant cries of battle echoed like ghosts. Eli's legs burned, but he kept moving, glancing at Kara. She was quiet, tense, her sword humming low at her side. "Where now?" he asked, voice hoarse from running and shouting. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she scanned the ruins, eyes flicking to every shadow, every ruined building. "We need shelter," she said finally. "Somewhere the commander cannot find us, somewhere we can think." Eli nodded. He trusted her instinctively, even though every part of his brain screamed caution. Together, they ducked into the remnants of a collapsed tower, climbing through the skeletal remains to find a hidden alcove overlooking the city. From this vantage, the devastation was total. Fires raged across the skyline. Human forces and Vaish alike moved like ants, caught in a war that had no mercy. Kara leaned against the crumbling wall, finally allowing herself to breathe. Eli watched her, noticing the small tremor in her hands, the way her shoulders hunched just slightly, a vulnerability she never allowed above ground. "Why did you stop mid-battle?" he asked quietly. She froze, staring out at the burning horizon. "Do you really want to know?" she asked, her voice soft, almost fragile. "I need to," he said. "I need to understand why you chose me." Kara exhaled slowly, a sound that seemed more human than alien. "I was trained to obey, to kill, to fear nothing, and yet when you spoke, something broke inside me. A moment I had been denied my entire life, a moment of choice, of humanity, of feeling. Eli stepped closer. You mean you didn't have a choice before? Her gaze met his, piercing, and he saw it. Decades of conditioning, war, and duty colliding with something new, something fragile and terrifying. I had no right to question orders, she admitted. No right to care, but you made me see that I could. Eli's chest tightened. And you did, you risked everything for me. I did, she said simply, looking down at the blade in her hands. And that is why I am not like them. A moment of silence stretched between them, heavier than any battle. The air seemed charged, as if the ruins themselves were holding their breath. Eli's heart pounded, every instinct screaming that this, her presence, her voice, was more dangerous than any enemy. Do you ever regret it? He asked, voice barely audible. Her lips pressed into a thin line. No, but I do not know if I can survive the consequences. Before he could reply, a faint sound caught their attention, a low hum almost imperceptible. Kara's eyes snapped toward it. They are close, she whispered, crouching. Eli's heart leapt. The commander. She shook her head. Worse, she gestured for him to follow. We need to move. Together they slipped through the shattered streets, moving as shadows, avoiding patrols and burned-out vehicles. The city was a labyrinth, each turn bringing new danger. And yet, as they ran, Eli felt something unexpected, a bond forming not just from survival, but from shared understanding, trust, and something that neither of them could yet name. Eventually, they reached a ruined building, partially shielded from the chaos above. Kara led him inside, sealing the door behind them with a piece of twisted metal. Inside, the dim light revealed scorch marks, shattered furniture, and the remnants of lives once lived. Eli sank against a wall, chest heaving. I don't know how we'll survive this, he admitted. Kara leaned against the opposite wall, sword resting across her knees. Survival is not the only challenge, she said. We must also survive what comes after, the consequences of choice. Eli tilted his head, and the commander. She smiled faintly, but it did not reach her eyes. He will come, and next time he will not be alone, but we will be ready together. The weight of her words settled in the room, heavy and electric. Eli realized for the first time that this was more than a battle for survival. This was a test of trust, of courage, and of the fragile spark between a human and a warrior bred to destroy him. And as the distant fires painted the walls in flickering red, he understood one thing clearly. There was no turning back. The city was a skeleton of fire and smoke when Eli and Kara emerged from the ruins. Above, the violet sky roared with distant orbital strikes. Below, the streets were a battlefield, littered with fallen soldiers, human and Vaish alike. Every step forward carried the weight of survival. Every breath reminded Eli that death was never far. Yet Kara moved with purpose, her sword humming faintly, not just as a weapon, but as an extension of herself. Her four glowing eyes scanned every shadow, every alley, calculating, predicting, breathing as one with the war around her. Eli stayed close, heart-pounding. He had learned more in the past days than in a lifetime. He had learned that courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was moving forward in spite of it. He had learned that words could be as deadly as any blade. And he had learned that Kara had chosen him. The Vaish commander appeared at the far end of the street, massive and terrible, flanked by elite warriors. His crimson eyes locked on Kara, then flicked to Eli. Rage and disbelief radiated off him. You dare defy me, he shouted, voice like grinding metal. You betray your people for a human. Kara stepped forward, sword raised but not trembling. I choose life, and I choose him. Eli swallowed hard. Kara. She glanced at him, the faintest spark of something tender flickering in her eyes. Do not hesitate, she said. We end this now or die trying. The battle erupted. Sparks flew as swords clashed. Eli fired his rifle, taking down approaching Vaish soldiers while Kara moved like a force of nature, striking with precision and power. Every movement was choreographed chaos, a deadly dance of survival. The commander advanced, massive blades swinging, crushing stone and scattering debris. Kara met him head-on, deflecting blows that would have killed ordinary warriors. Eli realized that she was not just fighting for survival, she was fighting for him, for the first time choosing a life other than war. In the midst of the chaos, Eli saw an opening. The commander's armor had a weak spot near the shoulder, just like before. He called out to Kara. Now. Her eyes flicked to him. Trust. That was what he saw there. In that instant, all fear and hesitation melted away. She leapt, sword flashing, striking the weak point. The commander roared, staggering. Eli fired again, and together they pushed him back. For a moment, time seemed suspended. The city, the battle, even the war, none of it mattered. Only the two of them standing together against impossible odds. The commander fell back, wounded but alive. Rage contorted his face. "This is not over," he spat. "You will pay." Kara's sword hummed low, deadly and unwavering. "It is over for now," she said. Eli approached her slowly, chest still racing. You could have died." Her glowing eyes softened, and for the first time she allowed herself to be vulnerable. "And yet I did not, because you made me see there was something more than orders and war, something worth protecting." Eli's throat tightened. I called you gorgeous in the middle of battle," he said, voice trembling. "And you didn't kill me, you saved me instead." Her lips curved faintly, almost shyly. "Yes," she said, "because words can change a heart, and you reminded me that even a warrior can choose." He reached out, hand brushing against hers. Warmth flared through him. "Then maybe this is our choice too," he whispered. Kara looked at him, eyes bright with something human, something alien, something neither of them had named yet. "Perhaps," she said softly. Behind them, the city still burned. Around them, war raged. But for one moment, one fragile, fleeting moment, there was only trust, only connection, only life. Eli smiled, shaky but certain. "Then let's face it together," he said. Kara nodded, her sword humming with renewed energy. Side by side, human and alien, they stepped forward into the fire, into the unknown, into a future they would shape together. And in the midst of war, in the heart of chaos, a single word, soft, honest, human, had changed everything.